Hi, welcome to our live now on Thursdays instead of Wednesdays. And we're here live on Instagram. We're here live on YouTube and Facebook. We're so glad you're joining us. We're so glad if you're here that you made the switch from Wednesdays to Thursdays. Allegra's joining me right now on hi, waving. I am going live with you on Instagram. There we go. Hi. So 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern. And I'm Natasha.
I'm Allegra.
And Allegra will be joining us just a second for those of you on IG.
And oh yeah, hi and hi. Now we're everywhere.
Now I've got I'm gonna have to remember to turn my volume down on one of the devices since we're doing multiple devices. Together we are Beyond Your Wildest Dreams, or BYWD, and our mission is to help you prioritize yourself, help you save time, and help you achieve your goals. So if you're a mom, a dad, a caregiver, if you're caregiving little ones or older generation or both, if you have a claim, if some people other than yourself have a claim on your time, we are here for you because we are up in that same situation ourselves. And we've got some couple tricks and tips up our sleeve. And we're in that journey with you.
Yes.
Maybe a few steps
deep
ahead
in that journey.
We're looking back and helping pull you forward if possible, if you're in that same situation. But we're also in it. We're not perfect. We're working it out. And we love to come here every week and just talk about things that are happening real time.
Yeah, we love hearing from you too. Things that you know that you've learned that work for you. We'd love for you to share them. So whether you're watching this live or recorded, please comment. We always go back and we would love to hear. And maybe something you bring up will be something that we discuss at a future date. And
sure.
And when we say that we want to help you prioritize yourself, save time, and accomplish your goals, what does that look like? Basically, we create actionable, accessible, science-backed content that is like time management and productivity and life design, but all through the lens of being a caregiver. So if you think to yourself, prioritize myself, that sounds like something I need to do, then we have this short read called Rock Your Morning, 3 Simple Steps to Take Control of Your Morning, which is all about carving out self-care for yourself in the form of a morning ritual. And, if you have questions too, you're always welcome to ask them below. We love talking about our morning rituals. Secondly, if you feel like, productivity, I need help getting things done, right? Saving time. Then we have our book, 3, 2, 1 Done, 3 Simple Steps to Get Your To-Do List Done. And you notice they're super short and they're workbooks because the brain science shows that when you do things, you really learn it versus just hearing it and then in one ear out the other, right? And then if you say to yourself, okay, well, I think I'm good at productivity. I think I'm good at prioritizing myself, but I do have some big goals that I've been back burnering, then check out our flagship course, Harness the Power of Planning. We've just set the dates for January 2024. So we teach this course about once a year. So it will be January 20th and 27th. And if you can't make it live, you do have access to the recorded videos for 3 months. And we say 3 months specifically because we don't want it to sit around like all those books on your wish list that you never get to. And so that's how we encourage you to get it done.
And that flagship course, it's 2 days. And if you really think about it, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't really have 2 days. And, it's not 2 sets of 24 hours, obvi, but it's 2 sessions, 2 long, what was there, 5-hour sessions?
That's so funny. 24 hours. 24 hours of Alegre Natascha.
Twice, 48 hours, right?
Yeah, well, so it's about 2 days. Hours.
Just, so we're talking, total 10 hours, right? Ish, about. And if you think about it, if you could spend 10 hours just kind of like digging into the things you really want to do, right? Or the things that maybe you've forgotten you want to do, or you're like, I can't remember, or like, I don't feel motivated in that way or inspired in that way. But if you had spent 10 hours, but then just to take those 10 hours and really, really, really have a trajectory for your life going forward in a way that really is satisfying to you. Like, or just FYI, your video on the Zoom just kicked off.
I'm trying to do that.
It's worth it, don't you think? Like,
it's so worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there, something that a lot of productivity experts talk about, and we talk about as well, is that for every minute of planning that you do, you save 10 minutes of doing. But I think it goes beyond that when you have these big plans. And actually, this is kind of something we're talking about. Our new book is coming out tomorrow. It's called Rock Your Holidays. And it's about creating a comprehensive plan for the holiday season. And it'll take you about an hour to go through this book, but it'll save you way more than 10 hours because you're not just calendaring, you're actually thinking about how you want your entire holiday season to feel. And when you come up with that vision for your holidays, you're actually going to start skipping stuff because you're going to realize, oh, that, like, for instance, I'm not a big party goer. Because I like a lot of quiet, especially during the holidays. And so when I get invited to parties, it's a very easy no for me a lot of times because, if it's a lot of people, it's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
And so that really helps to carve out not just the 10 hours of doing, but like setting up my boundaries and maintaining my boundaries, because that's just not what I want to do. So same thing with the life design. You're going to save so much time in doing because you're going to help you figure out what it is you really want to spend your time on. And, there's this statistic that we've heard that is people spend more time planning a vacation than they do planning their life. And hey, we get it. It's easy to like get caught up in the day to day, but especially when you're like at Natascha and I's age, where you're like, oh my gosh, we have more years in the rearview mirror than in the forward.
Dark, but true. It's very stoic of you to be like, death is looming. But like,
I do like
for real,
stoicism.
like it's a good, like not to be, what is it? Just like morbid. It's not about being morbid. It's just about being realistic and also just, saying, I love that quote of like, what are you going to do with this precious wild life you have? I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but it's precious and it's wild. And do you really want to go to that white elephant party? Maybe you do. And that's awesome. Right. So the idea first and foremost, like I'm opposite of Allegra. I'm like, give me all the parties, all the people, all the noise, but it's helpful to take stock on like, there are some things that, don't really align anymore with maybe, the type of way that you want to spend your time. And so we're just asking you with this book, with Rock Your Holidays, take an hour and just kind of go through like, just because you've done it before and just because maybe you've done it a couple of years in a row and it feels like, oh, it's a tradition and I got to hang on to a tradition. You got to really also just see, does it align with what you want and what your family wants? Or are you just doing out of obligation or just being on, cruise control or whatever. So there's that one thing that's one way to grab back some of your own time. And then just to see, just to take a moment and see what you want your holiday to be about, right? Because it always feels like it creeps up on us so fast, right?
Right.
It's like school starts and then you walk into the store and it's like, I just saw a meme yesterday. It's like, happy Holla Thanksmissmas. You know what I mean? It's like,
and it's only September.
It's September, right? And you've got, the Halloween costumes have been in the stores since August, right? So
yes.
some yeah.
Oh my gosh. I went to a museum in August that already had Halloween stuff in its store. So not even a retail store, like a big retail, a museum.
Yeah, like a museum shop. Yeah.
A museum shop.
Right. So, so they come upon you quickly. And this is why our book is coming out now. So take some time, take some stock in September before the zaniness kicks in and really get in touch with what you want to do, what the kind of, and who you want to be and how you want your family's experience to be. And it makes a heck of a lot of difference. And the main point of it is for you to thrive during the holidays, not just survive the holidays, and to have you kind of like, you're in January and looking back and going, yeah, that was really like fulfilling and meaningful holiday season, as opposed to like, ooh, I got through it,
Right. White knuckled it.
Right. White knuckled it. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we're always saying, put on your oxygen mask first. Moms, we are encouraged, maybe even we are applauded for sacrificing ourselves on the altars of our family. But once you become a mom or caregiver, primary caregiver, you realize that that's just not sustainable. You're either your health is taking a hit, or I think, even worst of all, you're becoming resentful because I'm doing all this stuff and who's taking care of me?
Right.
Unfortunately, you need to take care of you. Fortunately / unfortunately, you have to take care of you. No one can drink your water, no one can do your exercise. And when you're the adult, you've got to look out for yourself as well as everyone else.
Yeah, 100%. And it's hard to sometimes, right? Like absolutely, let's be real. Mom usually makes the holiday magic happen, and so you feel there's this, mom guilt of like, oh, if I don't do X or whatever, like the holiday is ruined, you know what I mean? This kind of thing.
Right.
And like, there is a way to check in too, like maybe your kids have outgrown some of that stuff, you know what I mean? Like you don't necessarily like, so we were going to talk today about what there is that we can let go of. We were thinking specifically around our children, right? Like, and what there is to let go of. And like, maybe your kids are, not, you don't have to watch all 15 of the holiday movies that you guys always watch during that season, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you can let go of the Mickey Christmas special. Maybe not, maybe your kids are still like, we watched a little Halloween Mickey Halloween special last night. And it is wild, this little 8-minute cartoon from like 1950, whatever. My kids are so nostalgic about it. Like they're 10, 12 and they're like, oh, I love it. And they, so maybe you can't let it go, but maybe there are some things, maybe there are some things that can be, retired for the time being, but
and we're not just talking just holidays, by the way, we're talking totally. In general, like new school year. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're realizing socks don't fit and you need to, remove some physical things. Maybe it's like we're talking about, mm-hmm. not physical things. What is it, how to let go of things? And I know that, I personally have a hard time letting go of certain articles of clothing. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't have a hard time with the artwork. I know a lot of people have a hard time with the artwork. I don't have a hard time.
Yeah. And people, there's so many different ways to manage that now. Like just take a digital picture and you can make it into a book later, or, they have those frames, right, where you can like stack a bunch of things and like change the front.
Yes. Those are so
like
cool.
A frame that you can store them in the back and you can put a new one in the front. And those are very, very cool. But yes, we have, I am not like, my husband was on here. He'd tell you that, I'm not exactly a hoarder. You know what I mean? But I do keep a lot of stuff, and getting way, way better at like, and you know what helped me is that I came across some stuff. Last time I was visiting my parents, I came across some stuff that my parents had saved from whatever, just random stuff. Some of it was elementary school days, and some of it was high school days. And I'm looking through some of it, and I'm like, like, because you think that, oh, my kids are going to love seeing their artwork later, right?
Right.
Older, rather. And I'm just like, cool. Yeah, we didn't have to save that. Because right. And so I think as parents, we think things are a lot more important than they are in some ways.
Yes.
So that helped me because I do have a binder. Like I have a folder thingy that, I'll save, like, if the kids did something, on his math homework that the teacher was like, said something and he wrote something funny. All right, fine. I'll save that. I'm not going to save every 100 test or whatever,
right.
Report cards from like, what I mean? Like my parents had some report cards in a box and I'm like, who cares? You know what I mean? So that helped me. Like, so maybe if you have some memorabilia that your parents have saved, go through that and see what you really don't care about.
Right. I think that's a great tip.
Thing on your list. Like, bye. I don't need that,
Yeah. I think that's a great tip. I mean, I guess I like the clothes too, because they're also functional, right? They're not just like a cool memory, but they are functional. They could be used again. Should a grandchild come into the picture, or a grandniece or nephew. But another thing that I do, one thing that I do, and this came out of my child's preschool, where every child would be chosen 1 week where they were the terrific person of the week.
Oh, how cute.
And the teacher gave us a template for creating a poster that would hang up during Terrific Person Week. And it would have like, my favorite book is this. Here's a drawing I did of myself. My favorite this is this, right? And I loved it so much that I laminated it. And she was at that preschool for 3 years. So that we had those 3. And then I thought, what a great way to just kind of collect a year.
Yes.
And so, and now I do it double-sided, right? Because it doesn't have to hang up, for Terrific Person Week. It can be double-sided. So I just put up some of my favorite pictures, and every year I still ask my child to draw a picture of herself just for that fun continuity.
That's such a great little snapshot, right? Yeah.
It is.
That's
It's such a great
fantastic.
snapshot. And I feel like she pulls those out more often than the bigger books.
Yeah. And because it's compact too, right? It's not like a lot of crap to go through. It's like a little snapshot. My hubby is watching us and he says, cleanses are fun for what you discover again as well. So in my opinion, a win-win.
True.
That is true. Like I think if you were with us a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about how we purged a good percentage of our garage. The goal was 50%. We probably got to 40, but it right now is exploded all over. So it looks crazy, but, but we had saved a whole, I'm really date myself. We saved a whole bunch of CDs and we came across some DVDs. So we have a CD player in our van. I just put them all, I just got jewel cases. Who cares? These things are not worth, like nobody's buying these things. In fact, I have an app. This is a little tip. If you are decluttering, there's an app called Declutter. And if you can put up books, DVDs, CDs, games, video games and other, and you just scan it and they'll tell you right then how much they'll pay for it. And you collect a certain amount, put it in a box. They'll send you a shipping label and then, they'll pay you for it. And sometimes it's literally 10 cents, right? But it's sometimes like, well, it's 10 cents and it's going to go somewhere. It's going to get reused.
Right.
And and it adds up, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll see some random stuff. You're like, oh, that was $3.95. Wow. So if you don't want to like go take all your book CDs, whatever, to like a local resale place, you can just do it in the comfort of your home. Anyway, so we're going through all those CDs. Now we have a pack of CDs that he and I have not listened. Like, who listens to albums anymore? People don't listen to full albums. That used to be a thing.
It's like one song.
We took a road trip and popping in some albums that we haven't listened to forever. So that's been a really nice little discover, clean cleanse things out. Plus tons of empty jewel cases with no CDs in them. So that's, thank goodness we're getting rid of that. Plus we did find like a home movie DVDs of some of his performances. Oh yeah, Beck, right. So we listened to this Beck album that I haven't listened to in forever on this road trip that we took on Monday. Yeah, the Beck album, got to rediscover that. And we got to watch this performance that he did of La Cage aux Folles back in like the late 90s.
Oh, how funny.
The kids were like, is that you, Dad? He looks surprised. He looks very, very feels, I have to say.
Nice.
Even in that grainy, video, I was like, damn.
Look at those legs.
Oh my goodness. What a time step. Anyway, so yay, fun discoveries. But yes, finding ways to get rid of things, purging. The clothing thing is a thing for us too. Yeah.
Well, the other thing I always have to purge. Yeah. At least you have
managing that flow, right? Because it's not ready for the younger one. Although the younger one is getting bigger, where it kind of can go straight to him now. But I used to have to, there was like a transition time.
Right.
I do have one giant, what is it? Ziploc, those Ziploc vacuum bags.
The space bags thing.
Yes, exactly. Those, the space bags. Exactly. So I have one of those and that's called the keeper bag. And that's like a sailor suit that my husband wore when he was 3. Aww. And then my eldest wore it. And then my youngest wore it. And it's like, it's so well made that it's gonna, if there is other children coming in the future at some point, it's just like, it's become, so like little things like that, or like this teeny little hoodie that was just so cute, but it's not stuffed full. It's just really, really special items, that I feel like that are quality enough that will last,
My bag's pretty big, but that's because my daughter has some ball gowns. dress up ball gowns. So, the
Oh my
things are
God.
humongous.
Yeah. Super cute. Okay.
But
Mhm.
we also have an olive green suede fringe vest that was my husband's.
No,
And when it fit her, she loved wearing it.
I want an olive suede fringe vest. That sounds amazing. Are you kidding me?
It's so
Wow.
funny. But the other thing, and by the way, if you're watching in one of the platforms where we haven't put in information, if you're wanting to find out more about all the things we talked about, our books and everything, our website is bywdreams.com. And there are links there for where you can get our books. You can get them on Amazon. There's also a link, tinyurl.com/bywd books. You won't see Rock Your Holidays up there yet, though. As I said, it's coming out tomorrow,
Oh, Friday.
September 8th. And so when it comes to things that to give away that child has outgrown, every year I've had to go through the arts and crafts supplies because it seems like those really change year by year. And like there were years where there were lots of like manipulable like pom-poms and googly eyes and that kind of, and popsicle sticks, right? That sort of thing. And a couple years I cleared those all out. And by clearing them all out, I gave them away to someone either on the Buy Nothing or someone at the preschool that she went to, somewhere where I knew they could use them. So, don't feel the need to throw that away. There are tons of teachers who will be happy to take
Oh
that
my
off your
goodness.
hands.
So happy. Yeah, my kids go to my youngest goes to a STEAM school, and you would not believe the things that they want to, because the kids, they have like little STEAM stations where like maker stations, where they're using yogurt cups or
Yeah.
cartons
Just
and
STEAM
stuff like
stands for science, technology, entertainment, arts. No, engineering, arts,
engineering.
and math.
Yeah, engineering, math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so you'd be surprised. Like, yeah, we had the whole bag of popsicle sticks and a bunch of other stuff too, pom-poms, all that kind of stuff that
yeah.
his school took. They were like, yeah, and they could use it for the younger grades. And so even if you think your kids have outgrown it, you can find a place where that can get useful.
Yeah. And so this year I finally released the big fat Crayola markers because they weren't getting touched anymore. It's like the crayons, those went away a few years ago.
Mhm.
Our eldest children are 13. My only child's 13. And so this year is finally the year to release the Crayola markers.
We still have them. My eldest just used them the other day because he handmade. Grandparents' Day is coming up on Sunday, y'all. I don't know if that's something my parents, my kids made a Grandparents' Day card because that seems to be something that Hallmark has not jumped on yet. Or if they have, it's it's rare.
That
But
hasn't
also,
made it.
Yeah, it hasn't made it into the mainstream. Like, you don't see Grandparents' Day yet. I don't know. I haven't been inside a Target in a minute, so maybe they were there. But anyway, the kids love to make these cards for my parents anyway, like just hand make them. And so he did use markers. So we're not quite ready to get rid of those, but man, there's tons of other stuff to get rid of.
Well, we still have colored pencils.
Mm-hmm.
We have the watercolor markers.
Ooh,
That's what she likes, right? So it's like the Crayola markers she hasn't used.
Yeah.
And so, watercolors. And we still have gouache, we still have acrylic paints, we still got lots of arts and crafts stuff.
Yeah.
But the Crayola markers, just the big fat ones, she wasn't using those anymore. I think they're not intensive enough color wise. Like she was reaching for the Sharpie markers or
yeah. Those are a little more sophisticated.
Yeah. So if you have strategies also for going through your kids' stuff, maybe you do it at the beginning of the school year, maybe you do it at the end of the school year, maybe you do it at the birthday, maybe you do it as spring cleaning. We'd love to hear any strategies you have. But, I feel like for me, it's just paying attention to what's not getting used anymore.
Totally.
And just making space.
Yeah, it's hard. So one of the things that we do as a family, and this is, I am by no means like a decluttering expert or organization person expert, but it is something that I can't remember if I heard this before or if it's just something we just wound up doing, which is we have a pretty deep closet under our stairs. And so anytime we get a largish box from a delivery or something, I just throw this box in the way back of that closet. And everybody knows that if you have something that you just don't need anymore, you can just toss it in the way back of you don't even have to go into the closet. Like just throw it back there. Chances are you're going to get it in the box. If you don't, if it's not, it's not like
this is a
cavernous,
crazy, no. This is a really deep closet. This is like,
it's a crazy deep closet.
it's bigger than Harry Potter's closet.
It actually is.
Like
it is a closet under the stairs.
Multiple times bigger. Like
Yeah,
Harry Potter would have been happy.
Super happy.
Closet.
My kids would have when we first moved in, my little one was like, can this be my room? Like was into it. So this box just lives there. Everybody in the house knows if you've got something that you don't need anymore, doesn't fit you anymore, you can just, toss it way back in there. And this way it kind of just keeps things. Now it doesn't mean that I still don't have to go into my boys' room and be like, does this fit you? Does this fit you? Does this fit you? That kind of thing. But if it's just helpful because it just kind of like takes it out of rotation.
Yes.
And then once the box is filled, off to Goodwill or wherever your favorite donation charity is. And sometimes I'll go through and be like, well, this is something that could go on the buy nothing, but at the very least, it's got a place to go in the meantime so you don't have to like deal with it as it comes up all the time. You can kind of deal with it like in one chunk.
That's a great tip.
That's a very helpful. And I've seen some organization people say you should have one of those in every closet.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like, so, because it makes it, it's like, it's especially for your kids. Like, it's just like one less hurdle, right? Like, if they know that doesn't fit them and they're like, oh, I got to put that in the box downstairs. Maybe they won't do it. Maybe it winds up on the floor. So if you have like a box in the closet or a bag, that's like, this is the donation bag, so if that's something that fits your family better.
Yeah, I could see that. We have this box that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. It sits in the garage, right by the garage door.
Yeah, perfect.
So we can get to the garage from our house, right? We don't have to go outside. So it's right there. And first thing I do is I always list it on the buy nothing, but then I'll put it in the box until it gets picked up or it goes in the box and then gets donated. Right. I also have next to that box, a second box for household hazardous waste. And so that's for your CFL light bulbs, your batteries, your expired prescriptions, paint, household cleansers.
We've got one of those in our attached garage too. Yeah, right there. It's right next to our recyclables box, so same thing. And then when that thing gets filled up,
to household hazardous waste. So that's those are two great ways to kind of like declutter on autopilot, right?
Right.
But
the other thing I'm going to mention really quick, I know we only have like 2 minutes, but I had a traumatic experience as like a preteen when my dad just decided that like I am over, that's time for me to be over stuffed animals. And while I was at school or somewhere, he just came through and like, he left me a few special ones and he just like decluttered my stuffed animals. And so my husband, much to my husband's chagrin, my kids have a lot of stuffed animals. We do currently have a moratorium on stuffed animals, no new stuffed animals into the house. You can get one on your birthday and one for Christmas. That's it. So you can only have 2 more, because otherwise it would be like, they would literally, no matter where we are, if there is a plush something, they're like, can we get that? Like you go to a museum, whatever it is, they want it. They want it. So, in fact, my son used his Christmas stuffed animal back in September. I go, all right, that's it. That's your Christmas one. Like, he's like, I'll give it up for this, so we had to do the bear. It was a nightmare. I mean, not in a bad way, but like more stuffed animals. But anyway, point is there, because of that traumatic experience, I feel like have your kids get buy-in if you possible. Now there's obviously some items where it's like, this is a piece of trash, right? This is a piece of plastic that broke off of a toy that, is obviously, so you don't need to necessarily like check in with them. But when we do declutter, like like I bring them a box and I go, you guys need to fill this up with what you're ready. Like, cause what I decide they're ready to release and what they're ready to release are not the same, right? Yeah. So it's more about like the volume, right? So it's not about the item, and I let them choose as much as I can. There might sometimes be some convincing, like, do you really need this? But for generally, I'm like, I just want to see this box full, right? So, and it's about the volume. It's not necessarily about the item. It's about getting rid of the stuff and letting them have the choice. Now they're older, right? They're not 4 or 5, which is a little bit different, But the other thing too that we've put a limit on is like, you can have this many action figures, but they have to fit in this shoebox, right? Anything that's more than this shoebox or whatever the box is, right? Then we have to make some decisions about what stays and what goes.
Right.
And so sometimes it's like outsourcing the limit or the boundary on the box, right?
Yeah.
And not having to make you the bad guy, but also help them recognize that sometimes choices have to be made and help get them in on that. Like I personally am not into like going in and just cleaning out their room, because just because of, I want to help teach them that skill about making decisions, about some hard decisions, but also
yes,
I was so sad. I was like 12 years old and I was like, I wasn't ready to get rid of those guys,
Yeah.
And so, I would suggest that you have them, that that's a collaboration. My husband, he's not always in on that. He's like, just get rid of it. Just get rid of it.
Well, here's another thing you can do. Another suggestion, because I did this when she was younger, and I've done kind of a modified version of it as she's gotten older, because she's very sentimental about everything. And there are things where I'm just like, look, I haven't seen her touch that in forever. I haven't seen her touch that in forever. So I will go in and I will put them in a bag and I put it in the garage and I wait for months to pass. And like, if she doesn't notice it and it's really just, then there's that. But as she's gotten older, I have brought it back to her and I've said, here are some things that I pulled out. You haven't used any of these. Are you ready to let go of them?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's just being aware of that. And I find that with myself as well, too, that sometimes I'll be attached to something and the only way to get to the point where I'm comfortable letting it go is actually listing it for sale on eBay at some crazy price. And then I bring the price down. If it doesn't sell, if it sells, great. I bring the price down. And eventually you get to a point where you're like, I'd rather give this away.
Right.
To someone in my community than sell it for $30.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the same sort of thing, creating the emotional space.
Yep. For sure. And that whole decluttering trick of like hang all your clothes with the hangers backwards, right? And then you use it and you put it back forwards. And then like after 6 months, anything that's still backwards or a year or whatever,
right?
Any hanger that's still backwards that's hanging there, you obviously have not used that for a year. So it's time to, right? So it's just like we sometimes don't have a reality on what we use and what we don't use.
Right.
We did a similar thing when we moved. We had put this box of toys that like wound up not getting unpacked in the garage.
Right.
And then it was like a year into our living here that we were like, oh, I'm like, well, the boys never noticed that they were gone. Should we, reintroduce these, or should we just let them have a new life with some other kid? I blame Toy Story. Toy Story is that franchise has messed kids up because they think toys love them and want that. And so I swear to God, Toy Story, because you're a kid, you probably already had that idea, but Toy Story has reinforced that idea that they come alive and they're sad if you don't play with them. And my kids have bought that hook, line, and sinker. And Pixar, if you're listening,
so note to parents: do not watch Toy Story with your kids.
Just they're wonderful movies, but skip the Toy Story movies. If your kids haven't seen them, just bypass it. Go watch something else.
They can watch it in their 20s.
Right, exactly.
Thank you for joining us. We will see you next Thursday, same time, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. And as always, if you have questions, we do look at them after the fact, so we'll be happy to answer them. And see you next Thursday.
Bye.
Bye.